Let's talk about gender equality.
Shavinism.
Hi guys, and welcome to Shavinism, where every Monday we have a discussion topic and every Thursday there's some comedy and characters. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're familiar with the channel, please let me know if you like this new setup, if you prefer this to the bed. I don't have a lot of room, but I'm doing the best I can, and I would be happy to know what you prefer, if you prefer this one or you prefer the bed. Today I actually want to start with a little story. At the gym that I go to, occasionally there's a woman cleaner that comes and cleans the men's changing rooms. Now they put a sign on the door, they say that there's a female cleaner inside the men's changing room, apologies for any inconvenience, and that's more or less it. Personally, I don't mind, I don't care at all if there's a female cleaner, and I'm assuming that most guys don't, because if people complained or if they just left the gym, then I assume that would stop. When she's around, I'm assuming some guys may be a bit more shy, some may be a bit less shy, because there's nothing that some guys like more than to show their big biceps to a new audience. But I was speaking to a colleague of mine at work, and she said that that's totally unacceptable. And I asked why, and she said there should never be a situation just because of norm, not for the risk of it, not for the threat, not for sexual harassment or anything like that, but there shouldn't be a place where a woman just walks into a place with loads of naked guys just as a social norm, or vice versa, unless it's like a porn set or something like that. And that was her opinion, and it's a valid point that I didn't actually think, because I mainly thought about if it bothers me or not. And because of all the talk about gender and gender equality and sexual harassment and all that that's been going on, I did start to think about the fact that the opposite scenario would never happen. There would never be a case of a guy walking into a woman's changing rooms to clean. That would be totally unacceptable, and it wouldn't happen at any gym. I know it sometimes happens in the toilets where there's cubicles, but there wouldn't be a case where a guy walks in with a mop where women are coming out of the shower. I don't think any gym would do that. So that got me thinking more on a philosophical, social level. Now I'll give a little disclaimer before I get into it. I will probably say something in the next few minutes that will make me sound completely ignorant. I'm aware of the risk, I take that risk, and let's get to it. So my main question is this: should the laws and the rules and the norms for men and women be the same all across the board? Should we say whatever is true to a woman should be true to a man and vice versa? The reason I raise this is because I see a lot of times in debates and discussions online, if they are to mean anything, if we say sort of, if this was a man or if this was a woman, this sort of behavior wouldn't be acceptable. And my challenge to that assumption is, if we talk about equality, are we trying to say that men and women are the same? And just to give an example, if we talk about the Free the Nipple campaign, one of the debates that is raised is if a man can show his nipples in public, so should a woman be able to. Now I'm not here to make claims for or against the movement, but what I'm asking is if the debate itself, if the discussion, if the specific point of if men can show their nipple, so should women be able to, if that is valid and if that's something that we should keep stating in every discussion we have about gender. This is the way I see it regarding the pros and cons of each scenario. If the rules are the same across the board and what applies for men applies for women as well, then we win in the sense that there's no room for interpretation. There's very little margin for error. What applies for men applies for women and vice versa. And in that sense, it's a lot easier to identify equality that way. So what are the cons? Well, for starters, we don't even take into account if it bothers the relevant party. If it doesn't bother any of the guys that the cleaning lady is there, should that make a difference? Is it even for them to say? I think the main concern about making our norms and laws across the board is that we may lose gender identity. Because what happens then is, for every situation, we need to think of the reverse scenario just to figure out if the norm is appropriate. Yes, there is a risk in leaving room for interpretation, but I personally don't want to live in a world where men and women are the same. But also I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you think the rule should be across the board, or should we judge it on a case-by-case basis and leave margin for error? I'm curious to hear what you think. Please discuss in the comments section, and if you do like these types of discussions, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you very much. I was Shavinism. I'll see you all next time.